Welcome to the Blind Apex Podcast, where amateur club racers tune in to get faster.
Hello, listeners. This is the Blind Apex Podcast, and I'm your host, Khan John Turk. I'd tell you what episode number this is going to be, but we're recording a bunch in December. I don't know the number. Go ahead and check the title if you care about that number. But the topic today is going to be K-Series life. It's the next generation that we all have to go to. I personally made the transition. I know people who've made that transition. And we are looking to the future. All you B-Series guys, you don't want to be paying $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 for an engine. So to get that stuff going and to learn more about K-Series life, I have my track spouse, according to my wife anyway, my track spouse. I'll let him introduce himself.
Hey, this is the track spouse. My name's Adam, also known as 00 Civic on Instagram, which is not spelled correctly, but don't get hung up on that. So I've been, fooling with Hondas since the mid-90s. Started off with a 88 CRX DX with the PGM-FI setup. It was a beast, you know.
All the horsepowers.
And yeah, it was good. So, we fooled with that for a while, and have just been, kind of in the scene on and off over the years. And I picked up this 93 Honda Civic Si back in, I think 97 is when I bought it. And it's been through a few iterations, a couple of B swaps, and then sat for 10 years or so. But a little more about myself. I'm a software developer by trade. I think we're going to get into more car stuff here soon. But I've just been in it since the mid-90s and have a passion for Hondas and have gained some knowledge over the years. Hopefully it'll help out some folks looking to kind of pass that on. So it's good stuff.
Yeah. So for those people who don't know, when he says it sat for 10 years, it wasn't sitting in a yard. It was in the garage, I'm pretty sure, because the car is pristine. Now, I know he did work to it. You definitely did work to it. But tell us what's actually done to the car right now.
Okay, so you're right. Actually, I think it was 15 years it sat in the garage. It sat there with no motor, just kind of hanging out as a shell, rolling shell, full interior and stuff. But and I've held on to it just to kind of annoy my wife.
There's no better way.
Decided to do something with it. Yeah, I know. It's a part of my past that I'm not willing to let go, and it continues to provide a ton of enjoyment. So, current setup right now, I'm running the K24 6-speed transmission. Your full bolt-on setup, stock motor with a couple of changes with the Type S pump and Type S VTC. But pretty basic setup. I say basic. A lot of people think that I have more done to it, but it's just a simple bolt-on, full bolt-on car, trying to keep it reliable. So,
I mean, people think there's more done to it because when you pop the hood, it looks like a show car.
Yeah, well, I get flack and I get some love for that, but kind of my thing that I've always said is, you gotta look good to be fast. Kind of fast. A good-looking race car is a fast race car. I mean, I've kind of always.
I don't disagree with that.
Appreciated that. I think that attention to detail keeping things clean, keeping things functional and looking good. I don't know. I think it pays kind of, it pays in the long run to have that close attention to detail.
Yeah, it definitely looks good for sure, and it's definitely clean. My wife always gets on me because your car is cleaner than mine. So, what's your horsepower looking like these days?
So on the current setup with the Haltech, so I'm on a Haltech 1500 Elite. I switched from the K Pro, whatever it was, the V4, which was good, but it definitely made more power on the Haltech, more under the curve as well. But the current setup, it's 247, 248, somewhere in there, around 200 to 202 foot-pounds of torque, temperature dependent. But and that's also on 78 to 83% ethanol. So it runs ethanol fuel.
Okay. So I think that's going to be a good transition. We may jump around a little bit, but let's talk about the parts required for the K swap. Okay. You mentioned that you were on the K Pro and you're now on the Haltech. So Everybody needs the ECU. Your B series ECU is not going to work. Generally speaking, you don't want to use the K series with the immobilizer delete for racing because you need tunability.
No.
So what made you change from K Pro to Haltech?
So a couple things, I think there's a higher level of granularity that can be tuned with the Haltech. I mean, you have your tables are diced up into kind of finer columns, and there's more options to be able to fine tune. That curve is kind of it's I don't know, for lack of better terminology, it's chunkier with the Honda. The Honda runs it good. I did have a few little issues over time with the Honda, and they weren't bad things. They were things that were correctable. As a software dev, I wrote some pseudocode for Honda to fix one of their firmware sequence loading issues that they had, and it was particularly with the ethanol content analyzer. I run a GM E85 sensor on the car, and there were some problems with it loading in the right sequence, and then was having some cold start issues and stuff. So just little things, but I think overall the Haltech is it's got a faster processor. It's able to just give you more options. So that's why I want the Haltech.
Yeah, I think it's kind of important to notice some of those differences because this year, 2023, the Honda Challenge rules came out, and we can now use Haltech. So there's some guys who will be making the switch, maybe. I mean, obviously, it's not a cheap setup, but I think it's important to realize that you're getting a bigger, badder, faster ECU, and you noted earlier that you got more power under the curve by switching. So that could be
yeah, absolutely
pretty important. Could be the death of K Pro, to be honest. But
well, I mean, if you look at a couple of foot-pounds throughout the band, and even more in some spots, and peak to peak, there was no changes when I did the dyno between the K Pro and the Haltech, and the Haltech came out like 3 or 4 horsepower more up top for peak numbers, and there was a broad swath of 6 to 7 foot-pounds throughout the band that were just finer data points that we could work out of the car. So
yeah. So for Honda Challenge, most SCCA classes, Grid Life, they do a peak power. And so the Haltech will really be important because it doesn't impact peak. Well, I say it doesn't impact peak power. It will note or gain some power, but you can detune that peak power where you can fatten up the range. Now for the time trial kids, I believe they're doing average horsepower, and I don't even know how that works, but I've seen a lot of posts lately about it. And this might not be optimal for you because it will raise your average if you're fattening up the middle. You may have to flatten your peak a little more, but just something for some folks to think about. Obviously, you need an engine and transmission. You're running the K24A2 and a K24A2
Correct.
trans, right?
So the engine's K24A2, and it's out of an '06 TSX. The transmission is a K20Z3, which is out of your car.
Okay.
So
the Z3's out of the 8th gen SIs, Civic SIs.
Yep.
And so the next big piece is the engine mounts, right? So you buy your engine and transmission and you want to hang it. And really, from what I've seen, the mantra is you have to pick your transmission and then you can buy your mounts. So even if you don't have your engine yet, you're still engine shopping. You essentially need to know what transmission you're running in what chassis, and then Hasport or somebody will make you mounts. Is that right?
correct. Yeah. That's how I understand, and that's what I went. I said, well, I'm going to go with the '06 to '11 SI trans, and then they give you the right bolt pattern, to match the bell housing. So, and we spoke about Hasport. They've been in the business for many, many years.
Not sponsored, by the way, but feel free.
Nope, not at all. No.
Yeah. Trust me, I run them too. Yeah. Like I want to set it and forget it. So.
Yeah, full disclosure. I mean, I paid full price for all my parts and stuff. There's no sponsor for here. My sponsor is my wallet, which
I'm sorry.
I get beat daily from the wife, but it is what it is. She knows I love it. But yeah, no, Hasport's, the mounts are great. They've done their research, and they have a bunch of different options for engine height, mounting, and lean, and whatever tickles your fancy. So
right. So I guess next down the line is header selection. So what did you go with on your car, and have you changed it at all?
Okay. No, I have not changed it. What I ended up going with was I was looking for the biggest runner primaries that I could find. And I ended up going with, so price to, power per, or horsepower per dollar. I looked at the K-Tune big tube header, and that was the first header I kind of looked at. I looked at a couple different ones. There's some out there that you can spend $2,000 on a header and, get 3 or 4 more horsepower out of it. But just for general track bashing, I can't say anything bad about the header. It's a great header, and it's held up. It's been wrapped since day one. It's the K-Tune big tube header. And it had the largest primaries, within a reasonable, price range. So, and I chose that, and for like intake, manifold, and exhaust. The reason why I chose the bigger primaries was, at least on the K24, and I think it still applies to the K20, maybe just not as much, is you'll make the most power if you have the biggest in and biggest out. So, it loves airflow.
I can attest to that.
The bigger you can get it, yeah. I mean, the bigger in and bigger out that you can get on the motor and package in the engine bay, the better it will do. And that's up to a point, right? I mean, you have to eliminate all restrictions if you want to make maximum power on a stock setup. And at this point for my setup, the restriction is the head. I'm not going to make any more power going any bigger on intake or exhaust. So go as big as you can, future proof it, depending on your power goals.
Yeah, you don't want to do work twice. So do your research.
Yeah, or spend the money twice.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's always a used market, but you know how Honda buyers are.
Sure. Yeah, give you $50 for that carbon fiber intake manifold.
Right. And you have to deliver it to me.
GSR blades.
Yeah. Deliver it to me 700 miles away.
Right.
We talked about this a little bit when we were warming up, but what about the axles that you're running? Because road racers are notoriously hard on axles. So,
yeah. So I went through a couple different brands of axles. I tried the Insane shafts to start. That was kind of my quote unquote swap axle that I chose with the 500 horsepower unit or whatever it is that they sell. And it worked out okay. I've since transitioned to a set of DSS 2.9s, the road race spec axles, and I've not looked back.
Do you have your Insanes as backups?
So yeah, with the Insane, the Insane axles are great axles. They're not bad, and they're great for a street car. They're great for mild track use. Track use being road racing, of course. The issue that I ran into with the Insane shafts is you really need to vent the outer CVs and quite frankly even the inner CVs depending on how long you're running, and change out the grease. So yeah, my backup set is the Insane shaft axles, but I broke them down, put the Redline CV2 grease, and then just used a brake cleaner straw for each of the boots to relieve pressure. The main thing that I found was, once you heat soak the front knuckles and, you've maxed your thermal capacity out in the brakes, it starts transferring in to the axles quite a bit, and you'll balloon your axles, and then, inevitably they'll blow up like a balloon and snag on a suspension component and explode, which happened to me going into turn one at 138 miles an hour at VIR, which was exciting.
The worst part about an axle failing is actually cleaning up the grease. Let's be honest. I can deal with a lot of stuff, but that grease, and you'll find it for the next 2 or 3 years. It's the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's rough. The day I put my old car on the trailer for it to get scrapped, I still got axle grease on my hand. So yeah, it's rough.
Yeah, I think I still have some in my teeth. I don't know.
So we covered the ECU already. You're running the Haltech and you switch from your K Pro.
Right.
But there's wiring harness, at least one wiring harness involved, right? So talk to me about what you're doing for wiring to make sure that things are copacetic and everything's firing right.
Sure. So the current wiring harness that's on the car is a Wireworks Stage 4 unit, mil-spec unit from Xavier at Wireworks. And I can't say enough good things about Wireworks and the company. We had a few hiccups in the beginning, and Xavier and the team were there to help out, get us through the dyno session and stuff. And the fit and finish on the thing is amazing. I've had no issues with wire fatigue. It's all, mil-spec loom and covering and stuff. So it's been rock solid. But
you're only a year in on that harness, right?
Yeah, I am. But I've feeling pretty good about it. Haven't had any issues, but with the harness itself, I mean, you kind of want to, and with any of the parts, that I've found that you really want to try to overbuild things. If you're going to be road racing your K series, and I think most of the people that are listening to this podcast, that's what they're going to be doing. If it's a dedicated track car, make it a dedicated track car. Don't go cheap on items that affect the reliability and electronics. Harnesses. Spend the money, because you're going to spend the money either way. You may as well just spend it once.
I mean, unless you like laying up under your dash or peeling back mil-spec coatings and all that stuff trackside to fix it, you got to find good stuff. Now, I've had harnesses fail on me, not Wireworks. I haven't owned one of those yet. Most of us traditionally like to stick with as OEM as possible, but that's not really an option in this case. So you really need to do your research on who you're using for your wiring harness.
Yeah, and to add to that, I think it's best practice to make sure that so there's two harnesses. You have the conversion harness for the chassis, you have the engine harness. So that adapts it to the chassis. Try to get your engine harness and chassis harness from the same vendor. I mean, I'm not going to plug vendors beyond what I've experienced with and that's worked, but try to stay with the same company. So if you go with hybrid, or you go with whatever company's making your harness, try to stick with the same brand, because sometimes you'll run into issues with conversion harnesses where one company wires it a certain way and another company, wires the engine harness differently. And then you're sitting there with a no start issue, pulling your hair out if you have any, and, trying to figure out what the problem is when, it's all in the harness, say the conversion harness, for example. And you have to back test all that, and it's just a pain in the butt. So.
Yeah, this is also my plug for not buying used engine harnesses unless you absolutely know who it's coming from and they can answer the question.
Yep.
Like, I'd buy a harness from you, but I'm not buying it off Facebook Marketplace or eBay or any of that stuff, because you need to know where it's coming from and if it's been modified
buy it from somebody
or changed.
Where it came. Yeah, buy it from somebody where it came off of a running car that emulates what you're going to be doing. So, if the swap's the same, etc., same sensors, that kind of stuff. You have to be cognizant of, different crank sensors and TPS and, between models and stuff. And, so, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. There's a crank sensor change between at least the K20 and the K24. I only know that because I had a crank sensor that I broke accidentally removing the engine the first time. And of course, I got the wrong one. So,
I mean, they'll both work. You just need to swap the pins out as far as the harness. So if you get a harness that was used on a K24 car and you try to put it on a K20 car, you're going to get a CPK error,
Right.
It's going to, because it's not wired properly. So you just have to swap pins.
Yeah, I wasn't really feeling that swapping pin life at the time, so I just bought a new one, and then I moved on. I had a lot of pin swapping that I had to do with the B Series car, and I got good at it, but I also had nightmares about it. So if I didn't have to swap pins, I wasn't. So let's talk about your fuel system.
Unfortunately,
whatever you need to say, go ahead. I'm the one jumping in. So,
I was just going to say, just as a track spouse, I experienced quite a few of those days.
Oh yeah,
seeing you at the track trying with the old car, the old setup. It was always something.
Yeah,
but
we're trying to eliminate the always something for everyone listening. and myself. So
Yeah, you're getting closer. I mean, you're getting,
yeah, well,
more consistency, right?
yeah, it's the new car is more consistent, but it's always something with racing. So you can't always eliminate every aspect. Speaking of eliminating something, my only real gripe about your car is where you have your fuel filter on your fuel filter setup or your fuel system setup.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
explain what you have, but please mount that stinking gigantic filter to the firewall somewhere.
Okay.
Because
So,
you don't want it dangling and pulling apart or snapping anything. So
yeah, I know.
it looks
So-
great,
so
but I don't want to see it on fire. Okay, that's the thing.
Well, me either. I'm driving the damn thing.
Yeah. So go in. Tell us
no,
what your fuel system is, though.
Sure. So I don't disagree with you. I've got to. To be fair, I've had the mounting bracket for like 3 years, and I just haven't done it. So a little lazy, but yeah. So I've got a.
But you handmade carbon fiber duct for the radiator.
Yeah.
But you didn't install a
Of course.
bracket you own.
Well, we have to get the car to run cool. So
All right. All right. Back to fuel. Back to fuel.
yeah. Okay. So the fuel setup's pretty simple. Essentially, I have if we want to go like pump to injector, we can do it that way or whatever. But essentially, it's just a Walbro E85 pump. Whatever, the 450, and I've been running that since I swapped the car to the K series, and it's been solid. I've had no problems with that Walbro pump. Super cheap. It runs good. Main modification for the in tank is to make sure that I had an E85 compatible, hose, pressure hose on the inside. So I need to make sure that was not going to swell up, expand, and pop, and then have a lean situation at high RPM or whatever. So Walbro 450 pump, just on the factory hanger. I use the factory sock, and the baffling has worked okay. I typically top the car off before every session, and I don't burn down enough fuel to starve, in any of the long sweepers or whatever. So that's been sufficient, even on the RRs. So as the G-forces have come up, that factory baffle has worked. I can see in the future maybe adding some things to that to help out to run fuel lower, but nonetheless, so 450 pump.
Just hydromat it. Don't open your tank.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the goal. It's just to chuck the hydromat in the factory baffle, but haven't needed it so far. But yeah, I use the factory steel lines under the car to the engine bay, and that goes to Dish. I think you pronounce it Dishworks regulator, and the Dishworks filter, which is it's got like a stainless mesh in it for to easily clean it, at the track or whatever, spray it out, and run the ID 1000 injectors for the ethanol, along with the Acuity rail. Acuity is a great company, by the way. Everything I've gotten from them has been amazing build quality. But Acuity rail, Marshall gauge that came with Acuity rail. I made up all my AN lines for the fuel system. And what else? I don't know. I think that's it.
It's a
pretty
return
simple.
system on your car, right? So the K series has a return fuel system.
Yeah.
And also you went with the
so-
1000s because you were running E85. So that for noobs like me, you need bigger injectors because they require more fuel, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So E85 requires about 30% more fuel. So 1000s are overkill, but you know what? Someday I may build something that requires more injector. And quite frankly, I like to have things overbuilt. I still get a good spray pattern out of the thousands. They work good at idles like a stock car with no issues. And it gives me plenty of room to grow if I want to add more power down the line, depending on which, where the car specs out class wise, etc. So
yeah, well, a personal thing for me is I don't try to run my injector duty cycle above 80%. I just think that 20% buffer gives you room if something occurs and you don't have to come in right away. You're not going to lean out, essentially. So
yeah,
I think it's good to build in a little room no matter what.
well, yeah. I mean, anything at the limit's going to wear faster, right? Limit for flow capacity, the pintles, things can wear out quicker if you're running higher pressure, that kind of stuff.
Right.
So that adds to consistency and reliability on track. Now, to be fair, if you go too big, you can actually lose power because the spray pattern, atomization, combustion characteristics suffer the bigger you go. So, I found that I was running 1500s in it initially, and I was having some problems with dead times and getting it to idle properly. But going to the ID 1000s solved all that, and it runs beautifully on that. I mean, smooth as butter. So
sweet. So the next thing we need to cover is the radiator, and I know you've had a little bit of drama with the radiator. I know what you're running currently, but I know you also had a dead nuts reliable radiator setup. So let's talk about that a little bit, because they're definitely K-swap specific.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So the first radiator that I had in the car was the CSF, I guess it was the V3 K-swap radiator. Comes with a single, I think it was a single 12-inch fan. Don't quote me on that, but whatever it was for the V3, that radiator worked perfectly. I had no issues. We're at 98 degrees ambient at VIR in August, and I think the most I saw was like a 204. ECT was at 202, 204 at the most, and that was unducted. Completely just throw it in there and send it. So great radiator, plenty of surface area, and it worked well. So I made a few changes to the car. After getting that radiator, I switched from a typical RBC manifold to a Prackworks carbon fiber manifold, and it has a much larger plenum.
Rich.
So, yeah, well,
you're rich.
Hey, man,
I mean, it looks
I have
amazing.
ways of making money.
It looks amazing, but
Oh, thanks.
It's been a challenge to run it in a swapped car, right?
Yeah, I mean,
was it the manifold or was
it
the throttle body that made it the challenge?
So the plenum cleared the CSF V3 rad just fine. However, the exit for the radiator, it was like directly into the TPS. So could I have hacked that off and welded it to the side and then changed my hoses? Yes. Would that have been the smartest thing to do? Yes. Would it have been the cheapest thing to do? Yes. Did I do that? No.
Absolutely not.
Of course I didn't.
No.
So, yeah, just as an FYI, that CSF radiator in quote unquote factory format does not work with the Prackworks manifold. And if you want it to work, I just told you how it would work with it. So, so what did I do? I changed the radiator, at the, I had people tell me, no, don't run a tucked radiator. Don't run a pocket radiator. It's not going to cool the car. And I'm like, yeah, I can see that, let me try it and see. Let me try it out.
I might have been one of those people, maybe.
You might have been the main person saying that, but there was others that were like, I don't know, man. I don't know, but
physics is physics.
You tell me. Absolutely. But I'm the type of person you say, don't touch that. It's hot. What the hell am I going to do? I'm going to touch it. Yeah, it sure is. It's hot, and burn my finger, which I did. I ended up going with the current setup on the car is kind of a modification to a Speed Factory tucked radiator. The original factory format, Speed Factory, I guess, tucked rad, universal tucked rad, has some shrouding on the back and 7.5-inch fans and stuff like that. And I tried that back in May at Hyperfest, and I wasn't able to get 3/4 of a lap around VIR at 70 degrees ambient. So I was pretty bummed out. You and I, of course, we pull the front end apart and we do temporary ducting with a Busch Light Apple box, right?
Thank you, Honda Challenge family.
Yeah. It's some good quality beverage there,
But it color matched.
It did, and it worked, and I left it on there for a while too. But yeah, Con and I, we went through and tried to block off some of the stuff up front to try to direct more air through the radiator, which it did make a difference. It was about a 4-degree difference, but I was still at a 227 ECT after one lap at VIR, which is like bananas. It's way too hot. So,
even after the math for the bar of the pressure of your radiator system and water and coolant and whatever you were running, that's still way higher than you want to run it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to see more than like 210, if I see more than 210, I can actually feel a power delta. So there's a definite decrease in power over 210, 215 in that area. At least with my setup, as soon as it gets over that, can you hear me?
Oh yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're good.
Once I got up over 210, 215, coolant temp, I mean, the car was kind of falling on its face. It just wasn't making the power. It didn't have that snap. So that was May at Hyperfest. And again, these are all testing sessions. I'm trying to get the car right. I'm trying to get the car reliable and to be able to take the punishment. So, I mean, no harm, no foul. We kind of knew that it was going to be borderline, but it was like way over the border line. So back to the drawing board. I called Speed Factory, talked to one of the owners there, Ricky, nice guy. We had some email traffic back and forth, and had been working to develop something that would be a better tool for the application. So I wanted to find a way to where we could make a pocket radiator work, but keep those space constraints or the engine bay constraints in mind. So it's still has to be small, but I needed to keep the car cool. So we went back and forth. We made some changes. They sent me another radiator out, some fittings and stuff to try. We opened the shroud up, put bigger fans on it, and then I came up with a great idea to do a wet lay carbon fiber duct for the front, which, by the way, was a ton of work. I mean, what a pain in the butt that was.
No, remember when I said
Amazon,
rich?
Man.
Okay, yeah. All right.
Yeah,
Sure.
Amazon, they have carbon fiber weave, 3x3 weave. Pick it up, man. It's not too bad. So, yeah, it was not too much. I mean, a couple $100 into the shroud, but a lot of work. And man, carbon fiber, man, will make you itch for days. This stuff is rough if you get it all over you. But anyway, so I built a mold out of cardboard, and then kind of did an aluminum taped the whole interior of it, and then used some it's like a mold release wax for the mold, and then you lay the carbon fiber in and put your epoxy, mix your epoxy, etc., etc. So I made a carbon duct for it, and a block off plate for the factory bumper, also out of carbon fiber, and I wanted to seal everything up. No, so
I know
so
where it came from. I'm just saying
that was free.
When you look at the car, it's like, how much money did he pour into this thing? But go ahead.
Well, as long as you don't give my wife the link to this podcast, I'll
don't
tell
say
you,
it.
But,
she may find it. Don't say it.
Oh, she will find it.
Yeah,
eventually.
I have,
but
I have a spreadsheet, and my wife has seen it, and we have separate accounts, and she will probably never have the same account that I do. So I'm just saying, don't show her.
I thought you were going to say you password protected the spreadsheet file or something.
No.
She couldn't get in.
I'll get into it on a later podcast, but I had a budget.
Right.
It may not have been a tight budget, but I had a budget and I had to stick to it. So
yeah, budget. I mean, hey, everybody has their budget, right? So just to try to finish up on the radiator. So I built the block offs for it, made the ducting, sealed all the ducting off, made some spring clamps to attach to the pocket radiator tabs with some riv nuts. And it worked out really good. I mean, I was really happy with the way it turned out. And then went to Summit middle of November to test that out, see how that would work. And luckily, ambient temperatures were about the same as they were at VIR in May. And I was able to get some good data points on it. And, for 70 degrees ambient, the ducting and block off and all of that, it actually worked. It brought temperatures down from, a minute, 50 seconds of full send to, I was seeing 227 at that ambient, down to 25 minutes, foot to the floor, and the max that I saw in draft situations was like a 212 to 215. And that was after, and that's heat soaked, that's after, however many laps at Summit. I don't know. What do you think? I'd probably get about 45 or 50 laps in 25 minutes.
No way.
That was a joke. That was a joke.
Okay.
I'm not that fast.
Yeah, right.
But
in that zone, you're much closer to where you need to be with
right
all the cooling and stuff. I'd like to see another maybe 10 degrees out of it, because we don't race in 70 degree ambient heat. You don't track in 70 degree ambient heat all the time. And
right.
Summit's not, well, Summit's a lot. There's still some full throttle areas, but it's not the same as VIR. So there'll be a little difference, but I think you're headed in the right way.
I'd like to see, 15 to 20 degrees, max after a 25-minute session. I'd like to see a 15-degree reduction from where I'm at now. And, we've had this discussion about surface area, vice volume, and those types of things. And, surface area is king. The pocket radiator that I have has more volume than my CSF V3 radiator. It holds more fluid, but it just can't get rid of the heat. It needs more surface area. And you are right, because you're the one that said that. So
you're also vented. So people need to realize that you ducted the radiator up front and vented the hood. So that's the whole combo. And that's pretty important. We'll get into all that kind of stuff. Maybe I'll have you back and we'll collect some more data and we can go over it and really get into that part of it. Yeah. So
yeah, it sounds good.
The rule of thumb for all the noobs trying to K-swap for whatever series, or, you found this gem on Facebook with no rust, good luck. And you're going to K-swap it and come out to the track, is you need a big radiator, and you may not want that fancy intake manifold because it gets in the way.
Yeah.
Or
it will work,
or you call Adam and he'll lay carbon fiber for you and do all this other stuff. But probably not after the story.
We have to be we have to be pretty good friends for me to do a wet lay.
Yeah, I'm not even going to ask you.
If you ask nicely.
I was going to do it for the 8th gen, and I was like, nah, never mind. I don't even have a cooling issue right now, so what do I need this for? But
well, if you ever do, we'll put one together. Just bring a couple beers, and we'll make it close enough to fitting. So
that there's a couple other things you need for your K-swap. One is the shifter and the cables. Can you tell me what the issues are with that? I'm going to assume you need cables compatible with your trans or a shifter. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I skipped the whole swap thing and went straight to a K-native car. So.
Yeah, essentially you need the shifter that matches the box. So, there's a ton of different vendors out there making their variant of K-series shifters. The one that I run currently is just a standard K-tune billet one. I have no complaints about it. It's worked since day one. It's pretty positive shift feel. There are other companies out there which I think have improved on the design and do a better job.
Have you looked at have you seen any of the other ones? My only concern for you is that billet one. It looks fancy as hell, but it looks heavy.
Yeah, I mean, it's all aluminum. I don't know how much it weighs. I haven't really split those hairs yet, but yeah, I mean, I've had my eye on the Acuity unit. The owner of Acuity, Russ, he's always been a good guy and really great to work with. So yeah, I think eventually I'll switch over to that. The next time I drop the subframe and stuff out of the car, it's kind of a pain in the butt. So yeah, so to get back to your question or your statement about shifters, matching the shifter to the box, and you get the correct length cables. There's variants in cable design. You can get a street cable, you can get a race cable, billet, shift selector, bushings and that kind of stuff. You can make it as fancy as you want. But essentially matching the shifter to the trans, because some of the selectors are backwards, and putting it in first gear, if you use the wrong one, you're actually putting it in second, type of thing. So
cable transmission life. I still don't understand the voodoo of the transmission. So when you add cables to it, I don't get it. So the last one is going to be intake, and it's part of the intake header exhaust system that you noted earlier. If you want to make power, bigger is basically better with the K series, because the K series is super efficient at moving air.
Right. Yeah. So big in, big out. That's the mantra with the K series, and you can fine tune that with the VTC. But if you're bottlenecked on one or the other, you limit yourself. So just open it right up, and if you're a tuner, ramp in the VTC where it needs to be ramped in to keep the curve fat. But don't limit yourself, to a skinny intake or something that doesn't have enough plenum volume, or, the we can get into intake resonance and frequencies and all that stuff, maybe at a different podcast, and what works good, and, length and different things like that. Because there are some
there's
theories out there which work best.
There's been tests. Andy Hollis did a test. Not only did he test the length, but he tested it on, I want to say 3 or 4 intake manifolds, all with a 70 mil throttle body, which is pretty common, not in the racing world, but in the swap world. And so, yeah, he did some extensive testing with that. I remember that from back in the day.
Yeah. And
go ahead.
There's also been some really good testing by Jason. I don't know if he was on Honda Tech Catman.
Oh yeah.
If you remember him?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did a really, back in the day, he did a really great intake manifold comparison between the RBC, RRC, Skunk 2 Alpha, blah, 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 blah.
I own
however many thousand intakes there are.
I own the Endyne RBB from that shootout.
Well, then you have a piece of history.
Yeah, it's sitting on my shelf in the garage because I can't use it because of rules. But, whatever.
See, I never knew that. See, you learn things, live.
Yeah.
That I never knew.
I'll probably put it on Jason's CRX, so we'll see.
All right. It's funny you say Endyne. I don't mean to segue. I know we're running out of time, but I used to have a really good working relationship with Larry Widmer from Endyne back in the day. And I had a sport front wheel drive. I used to be a drag racing guy. So I had a sport front wheel drive B16 174 stroke with a 1.8 liter capacity, set to make like 1,200 horsepower. And, looking at the head flow theory and everything that Larry had designed, I mean, I really looked up to him a lot coming up in the late 90s, early 2000s. Just, what a treasure trove of knowledge that he had. So if you guys ever are out on the interwebs, check out The Old One or Endyne. He's got some really good information.
Oh, yeah, he's a plethora of knowledge.
Yeah, good stuff. And I apologize if you can hear the chainsaw running outside.
Oh, it happens. Podcast life and all. But so the next topic is really, what do you think people should concentrate on to ensure reliability? I'm sold on the engines. I believe they're reliable. Assuming you settle the oiling issue, which sort of we didn't get into, but essentially you have a handful of places you can go to. Unit 2 Fab, I believe that's who you're running. You're running that on your car.
Correct.
For a baffle.
Unit 2 Fab Elite pan.
Yeah, right. Pan. I said Rich. I'll repeat it again. Rich. Because you had it. I think you got it before it got a little cheaper. But anyway, that's the price you pay to be the first kid on the block with it. So,
freaking story of my life, man.
Yeah, no, I get it. I'm there too. But I run a Track Tough setup on my car. I know guys who've had issues with every single baffle that's out there, sans maybe a Unit 2. I'm happy with my setup, but my setup we'll go into in a different show. It's pretty complicated yet simple. If you're a fabricator, you can do it, and it's the easy button. It's the right button for an 8th gen Civic, in my opinion. I did not want to leave my oil pan really low, so made some changes. But what reliability stuff are you looking at as far as maybe, just for the car? What are you looking at specifically K-swap related?
Well, I mean, I think it comes down to the application, right? So is it a dedicated track car? Is it a weekend warrior? Is it a street car that you might want to dabble with the track once in a while? Because there's different reliability levels associated to what the intended use is, right? So if we're talking strictly a track car, reliability wise, first and foremost, get the best wiring that you can get. get the get all the mil spec sparkles and fanciness that you can afford. That will pay dividends in the future as you track. Oiling is huge with the K series. As a couple of our friends have recently lost expensive engines due to oiling issues that were not their fault, but whatever, we won't get into that. But you got to keep these things oiled, and you got to keep the oil pressure up. So depending on what tire you run, will kind of dictate where you need to focus as far as what pan to run or what setup to run. I mean, I'm on RRs, and I've done some analysis on the data and stuff like that, and getting up over 2 Gs under compression in some of the turns at VIR, there are some noticeable drops in oil pressure and stuff with, say, a Moroso pan. So Moroso is good. It's perfect for a car with street tires. It works. I had it. I used it for a while. But once you start getting into aero and really sticky tires, you want to get into the Hoosiers or whatever, you need to make sure that you're either dry sumped or you run the Unit 2 Fab Elite is what I'm running. I have not seen any oil lights or pressure drop with that. And that's over, 2.4, 2.3 Gs under compression. So I have to look at the data, but it was way up there coming down through roller coaster.
Yeah. The other thing people do, and one thing I don't want to glance over, is that pan is big. Not only is it baffled, but it holds a lot of oil. Think of diesel truck level oil changes in your race car or track
10
car.
quarts.
Yeah. And
10 quarts with it, that's slightly overfilled. So
right. And so that's the other thing is people overfill. I myself overfill about half a quart on my setup, but my car doesn't take 10 quarts. It takes half of that. So there's some things to consider there. Would you say that the transmissions are generally reliable?
Well, you have 2 camps when it comes to K series trans. You have the guys that drive the ever living shit out of their car. They bang gears, they don't lift, they're hard on transmissions. The K series transmission will live if you treat it right. So I've been on the same transmission. So I broke the transmission down that's in my car. I put new synchros, new bearings. I put the triple cone carbon synchro, the whole Synchrotech package, and refreshed the transmission. Threw in the OS Geiken one-way plate diff, and I generally shift it. I give it a little bit of time in between shifts. I lift, shift, and then apply throttle. And a lot of guys out here are like banging the hell out of these things, and they don't like that. They don't, specifically the 6-speed does not like to be treated like that. You have to treat it like a princess, right?
Yeah, I learned that the hard way. I definitely broke a shift fork. Part of that issue with me is the 8th gen Civic has a delay in the clutch master cylinder. So I knew that advice about you can't slam it like a B series. Now, when I can tell you I broke B series transmissions like drag racers do. So I'm pretty hard on them. Once I realized it was the delay clutch adjustment kind of thing, I've been pretty good. My transmission's been pretty good. But it needs to be built and spec'd correctly is the way I like to say it. You have to have your measurements right, your shims right, that kind of thing. And if you're buying it off, if you're buying it anywhere, you don't know how it was treated. So just assume you're going to throw a Synchrotech Master rebuild kit at it. That's my advice.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to throw it in the car and get
K-series trends.
Yeah, you don't want to throw it in the car and get a grind, and then have to pull it out of the car. So,
yeah, I mean, anyone that you're going to get at a yard, you're going to pick up, from car parts, whatever. You're going to pull it apart and refresh it. I mean, it's too much work not to just do it while it's out. So pull it apart, put new synchros in it, put new bearings in it, put new shift cuffs in it, check for straightness of your shift selector or your, what's the part you broke?
The shift fork.
The shift arm? Shift fork.
Yeah.
That's what I was looking for. Yeah. Check for straightness on those to make sure they haven't been forced. That kind of stuff. So.
Yeah. Forcing it, just take the missed shift and be ginger. Don't force a K-Series transmission. Yeah. That's my advice. So let's talk a little.
No means no in that situation.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Or you'll end up like me running. I think I was second place that weekend and running for my life for the pack of guys behind me. And I go to shift into fifth gear on the front straightaway at Summit Point, and it was a no-go. So you don't want to do that. Talking about transmissions, what's your opinion on the 5-speed versus the 6-speed when you want a dedicated track car or race?
Well, I mean, I might be a little biased since all I've run is 6 speeds. I like having the ability to have the extra gear. It dices up you're shifting probably more on some tracks, depending on where you get caught. But at the same time, the 6-speed allows for more usable torque everywhere. So, I mean, I'm inclined to stay with the 6-speed. I think for road racing, the 6-speed with moderate power, is fine. If you're some crazy time attack guy with, 800 horsepower, Will Young or, James Houghton or somebody like that. Yeah. Okay. Then
they're not on stock boxes.
No,
they're all on custom dog boxes, so it doesn't matter for them.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, the 5-speed, will it take more power? Sure. But, in the game of road racing, power is not king. Balance, in my opinion, is king. Balance is what makes a car fast. And I think the 6-speed has the best balance for, it's the best tool for the work. But the 5-speed may provide with more strength, but I've yet to need that, and I make pretty good power. So I think the 6-speed is sufficient.
Yeah. So to go back where you think you're going to shift a little more, my data shows that if you're in a 5-speed and you're not using second gear, sometimes you're not doing it right. So you're doing a 2, 3, 4, 5 car versus a 3, 4, 5, 6 car. Shift numbers are the same. The ratios are technically the same, but you're going to need to swap that 5th gear just like we swap our 6 gears. So it really doesn't matter, and people like to argue about the memory of a 5-speed. You'll quickly learn to figure out where the heck 6th gear is. Test your reverse lockout first, but you should be all right. If reverse lockout's working, it'll just be there.
Ooh, I have a story for you.
Go for it.
At some point.
You want to get into it?
Well, the reverse lockout, I don't know how much time do we have left.
As much time as it takes. I only have a couple things to cover, and then we're good. We're an hour into this. That's fine. I'm good.
Yeah, I'm talking a lot, man. I'll be real quick. Yeah, make sure that your reverse lockout works, and that it's working properly, and that your whatever ECU or engine management that you're using, controlling that it's active and it's functioning properly. I had an error that, for whatever reason, I wasn't seeing pop up on my dash. I run the AIM dash for what it's worth, but
AIM dash with the Haltech.
Yeah. AIM dash, AIM SmartyCam 3, and the Haltech.
You like wiring?
No.
It
I
sounds
don't.
like you do.
But yeah, the reverse lockout, make sure it's working, because mine wasn't at VIR in May until, well, I was shifting into sixth gear and it wasn't shifting. And I didn't know why. And I thought I had broken the transmission, and come to find out the reverse lockout, because of a sensor input type in the Haltech wasn't set properly. It wasn't engaging that. So I thought I had, trashed a shift fork, for example, and it's, but I was a gnat's ass away from putting it in reverse, going into sixth gear. So that was scary after I realized that, because that could have been a real problem, going 140-ish miles an hour at VIR, and then money shift it and go ahead and put it in reverse, yeah.
Yeah, that won't work out very well. You were fortunate that Haltech was there.
Working. Yeah.
Because you drove over to Haltech. Right? It was at Hyperfest. So they were set up in the
Hyperfest,
in the Hyperfest Grand area, the concourse or whatever they call it, and you had to drive it over there so they could help you figure it out.
It was pretty freaking good support. The Haltech guys were class above. They were just. I drove over. I said, "Hey, I'm running the 1500 Elite. I'm having some issues with my VSS." One of the Haltech, guys hopped in the car. He said, "Let's go for a ride." Went for a ride. He figured out that it was the sensor type on the VSS was wrong, which was the cause for my reverse lockout not working. So when he switched that sensor type to, I think it was a pull-up type sensor or something like that, got everything working. And it was like, within 15 minutes, 20 minutes. So I can't say enough good about them and their support and their help, because they had me up and running, so that I could get some radiator testing done. So,
yeah.
It's worth its weight in gold right there. So the support was awesome.
Great. That's awesome. So getting to the end of this, what's the best advice you can give a racer looking to do a K-swap?
Well, I would say, everybody has their budget, but within your budget, do your best to buy it once and buy it right as far as good quality products. There's a lot of companies out there that'll want to sell you products that they claim it's track tested, it does this, they're full of crap. There's a lot of stuff out there that will not withstand hard, heavy track use. The heat cycles, it's just buy it once and buy it right. Buy the best quality product that you can afford if it's a dedicated track car. When it comes down to it, you kind of have to, in my opinion, the best advice would be to build the car to what your intended use is. If it's a daily driver, you don't need hardcore track parts on it. You can get by with some of the cheaper stuff. It'll run. You'll daily drive it and be happy. If it's a weekend track car and, an occasional fun car, that you drive around, then go heavy on the brakes, put a really good set of brakes on the car, make sure that your electronics are good, high quality stuff. And for the track car, you're out there, you're going to be spending money. You're going to spend the money, buy the best product that you can get for what you're trying to do. So buy it once and buy it right. And I guess that would be my best advice.
Yeah, I think it speaks to getting the car reliable, and reliability allows you to have more seat time, which is going to help you figure out this car and get faster yourself. So you you want to spend the money appropriately and you want to prioritize some things. But you don't need the flashy stuff to get out there. So don't look at Adam's engine bay and be like, man, I really want that one. Because seat time is king. And
Yeah.
I think you're learning that lesson. We talk sometimes and you're like, man, I wish I was going to make this event. Now, it's not always the car's fault. Family gets in the way and all that stuff. But, even in November, you were like, man, I'm knocking some rust off. Well, that's what happens when you haven't been at the track for a couple months. So you want to make sure you stay consistent. And part of that consistency is a reliable car that, I race with guys who they put their car in the trailer and they drive home and then they hook the trailer up for the next race. And that's the only time they touch the car. That's not me yet, but I'm working on it,
Yeah.
But
Well, we could all learn from those guys.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
we can hope for next year, right? But
Yeah.
speaking of next year, what are your goals as a driver for 2023?
So 2023, as far as driver goals, I'd like to kind of migrate from the DE aspect. I mean, track weekends are good, but when I can get that consistency with the car and get it reliable and consistent, driving goals, I'd like to get into maybe TT3, TT4 with NASA, and see where it goes from there. Now, as far as the front wheel drive car being competitive in those classes, it remains to be seen. But it would be, I think it would be good just for me, to try to do my best, and not necessarily like, I don't need to be on the podium, but I want to do better than the last time I went to said track, right? I want to improve. And I think as a driver, more seat time, more consistency, and I'd like to kind of migrate into maybe that time trial realm.
Oh, the competitive bug is going to bite you hard. I already know this. It's going to come after you, and you're going to.
That's all right.
So it kind of feeds into my last question. What do you think you have planned for the car next year? Because as soon as you start competing, that plan might go out the window. But what do you have on your plate right now?
So a couple of mods, I've got some suspension stuff that I'd like to address. So all of the track days I've done so far, and a lot of people will be like, what the hell? You're still running the Fortunato 500s? But yeah, I'm running a revalved Fortunato 500 coilover, which is a street coilover, with some Swift springs, and they're revalved for a heavier spring up front. But I'd like to upgrade those. There's a few other companies I'm looking at, and also some stuff from Fortune that looks promising that I might talk to them about upgrading to. So suspension wise, going to make some changes there, and the front brakes, I need more thermal capacity. I need a little bit more. Let's just say I was a little jealous at Summit when I saw those AP brakes on your car. I just can't not have that. So
yeah, I can't hide my money either.
Yeah. But yeah, I just think after looking at those and kind of just doing some math, I think that I need more thermal capacity in the brakes, and I'd like something that I'm getting close to the limit of my current front brake setup. So there'll be a change there.
So my advice is, I know you're looking already. Maybe put it off for an event, and let's look at your data and see if you're actually on the brakes too much. And what pad are you running?
Well, I've got the data. So
because Are you on 43s or 45s?
43s.
Okay.
So the race pass is ST43s.
Right,
yeah.
right. I would assume anybody listening knows what I'm talking about, but it's probably a bad idea. Okay, yeah, if you were on the 45s or the 47s, they generate a lot more heat than a 43s. So, yeah, let's talk about this off the podcast, but I'll look at your data if you want to send it to me, and I'll see. I know a lot of folks ride those brakes hard. I haven't ducted or used air diverters on any of my cars yet. Now, My weakness is my braking zone, but I don't think it's weak because, if anything, I ride them too long, too hard, is what my data shows me, and that should be overheating my brakes, and I never get that. So, I don't know. Let's look at that later.
We'll go over the data. Yeah, see if we can figure it out. But yeah, so that's the plan for next year. And, depending on where I class out as far as TT, if that's the route I decide to take, there is room in TT3 for, gosh, I don't know, 50 or 60 more horsepower. So, your current horsepower doesn't put you there. No, it doesn't put me at whatever.
It puts you at TT4
or 9 or a 10. Yeah. It's in between. It's like not enough power for TT3, but I'm over in TT4. So
yeah.
So I either need to reduce weight, and to help keep things more reliable,
Right.
For TT3, and maybe throw a set of cams in it or something and get me to the sweet spot, or we'll see. So it's got enough power now to go pretty quick. So I think there's more time in the driver than there is in the car.
Oh, for sure. I can say the same thing. And for you and all the other aspiring TT guys, you really need to look at your class. When you're classing your car, you want to see who's showing up and participating, because TT gets contingency stuff too. So don't forget that part. You really need to look at that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good info.
Anything else for us?
I don't know, man. I'm just, I'm honored to be a guest on your show. I think it's an awesome thing, and I'm excited for you. And I hope it takes you to some good places, and you can provide a lot of value for folks out there. This is free information.
Yeah.
And it's it really is a cool thing. So I'm just happy to be part of it, honored, and appreciate it.
Oh, the guys I race with won't let me put out anything that doesn't have good content. Speaking of which, I'm hoping anybody on the fence switching from B series to K series learned a little bit, during this episode. I'm sure we can have follow-up episodes. I'm sure Brent wants to talk race specific because he's been on a K series for a while now. And that may be more of a Honda Challenge specific. I just really wanted to cover the basics this time, really get people pointed in the right direction. And I think we've done that. So really, thanks for coming on. And we will,
awesome.
I'm sure I'll talk to you offline. So thanks a lot, man.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime. Take care.
All right. Take care.
Until next time, keep working on yourself, keep working on the car, and let's get faster.